Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're having a lovely day. And in today's video, we'll be talking about one of the most recent and most popular products to release in our time, being the MacBook Neo. Now, the cycle of technology has come a long way while maintaining the same rule. From ancient day ENIACs to modern day smartwatches, there's always been one rule: remaining faster and remaining better than what came before. And also, by that development principle, tech has maintained one rule: the more you pay for your tech products, the better performance you supposedly get. But as technologies become more efficient and affordable, those rules are often called into question, which can sometimes result into a clashing point of philosophies. Enter the MacBook Neo, which is the latest clashing point for consumers and manufacturers' philosophy. To understand why this $600 laptop has attained the level of hype it has since its release, we need to take a look at the underlying thought processes that essentially make this laptop what it is today. First, we'll be looking at the manufacturing standpoint from the regular industry's perspective versus Apple's own perspective. And then we'll look at the consumer's perspective versus tech enthusiast perspectives like myself, and how they all interconnect to essentially bring the popularity that this MacBook Neo has achieved in its very short lifespan. The tech product market has remained relatively stable for decades, only being influenced by a few factors like the crypto boom and geopolitical events that happen. Now, AI development has joined this very short list when it was discovered that GPUs can boost AI development much faster than conventional CPUs, and this shifted the tech product market forever. GPUs went high up in demand, followed by RAM and storage. And basically, the shortage of these things has created a crunch that manufacturers around the world are struggling to bear. So, their first instinct was raise the prices. Anyhow, that the prices are increased to compensate for this shortage of products that they'll have to face, because a byproduct of RAM, GPUs, and storage being effectively increased in price is that all these products can't be made at the same price points that they have been made for a pretty long time. That cheap components basically became liquid gold overnight, and manufacturers were not going to eat losses just yet. So, as a byproduct, tech products across the board have become more expensive. But Apple, in the midst of this crisis, came up with a very unconventional solution. Using older hardware, they would assemble a new product to meet a market now experiencing price hikes. The cost $600. Now, a product that was originally meant for students and other professions with low computer requirements had basically turned to a solution for people who couldn't afford modern day hardware due to the price increases. Now, the reason this is unconventional is that for the longest time, Apple has had an entry point for computing power, which was the MacBook Air, which has always been tagged at $1,000. Now, in modern day, now in 2026, where PC manufacturers are increasing their prices left, right, and center, Apple has basically come out and said, our views on computing has changed. And for $600 to $700, we can offer a near complete computing experience. Now, I say near complete because the MacBook Neo specs are interesting to say the least. So now, with this product in the market and sales going crazy, it's clear that Apple's strategy has worked for them. Now we can take a look at the consumer perspective, and the consumer's perspective has been split into two: regular consumers versus tech enthusiasts perspective. Now, before we do that, we'll have to take a look at the specs of the MacBook Neo. So this is the specs at $600, and this is the specs at $700. So for some people, these specs may not mean much, and for some people, these specs may mean a whole big deal to them, like MacBooks being this cheap. For a regular consumer, this this price point may come off to you as finally something I can afford for computers when everything is generally becoming more expensive. And for a subset of the consumers being tech enthusiasts, the verdict has basically been, oh, why why has Apple backtracked their ways into delivering lower end hardware for a price point where you can find more competing devices? So basically, that has been the line of thought between regular consumers and tech consumers. And while I can't say definitively that any one side is correct, I am of the belief that both truths can exist at the same time. Because the MacBook Neo, for its own, for all its intents and purposes, really has one question to answer for a consumer. Can the MacBook Neo meet my needs in 2026? Now, for a lot of regular people who just do basic workloads on a laptop, typing documents, watching content online, surfing the web, the MacBook Neo is an excellent option for them. It can handle all their regular and everyday tasks while occasionally punching above its weight class. And for them, that is all they need at the price point that it offers in 2026. And for a power user or a tech enthusiast, someone like myself, the MacBook Neo could never be enough. It will always have a shortcoming, a fault that will always be glaring to people like us. And when that kind of laptop is postulated to such an audience, the initial thought process is an outright rejection because of the specs. But the truth about the MacBook Neo is that there's a lot of interconnection between the regular users and the power users, because what doesn't work for power users works for the regular users, and that is a world that is both truths can exist at the same time. There isn't any one single end all be all protocol that has to be followed to have access to a computer. And the MacBook Neo really, for me, it really makes us reflect on our choices when we have to purchase a computer, especially in modern day 2026 where everything is more expensive. If the MacBook Neo can meet all your needs, it's a good laptop for you. If it can't, then you can easily step away. There are many more laptops, more expensive, however, that you can afford that can meet your needs. But the truth is, for a long period of time, this question of making tech purchases based on what you need has been a generally unspoken, unanswered kind of nuanced question that just floats around somewhere until someone has to make a tech purchase. But in more recent times, where everything is becoming more expensive, this product brings that question forward into the light, the MacBook Neo, because at the price point that it is, $600 to $700, if it is enough for you, then why shouldn't you get it? If it isn't enough for you, then obviously you can move on. Is this question or this clashing points? It is this question that creates the clashing points of the philosophies. Hence, why I think the MacBook Neo, in and of itself, is not a revolutionary product, but a very impactful one. And I think that the more that we get products like this that don't go too high or too low in their performance to price, but meet in the middle, the more I think that we can navigate this brewing storm that is price increases across the board due to AI development. And I think it's a net positive for the industry and for consumers, because the most expensive thing isn't always the best thing. And I think that with this kind of products, it's always good to ask yourself where your priorities lie. Where it is more intensive in its use case, you get a more expensive product. Where it is a lot more basic, having to deal with documents and all that, you can get something like the MacBook Neo, which can clearly work in such use cases. And for me, this is what I think the MacBook Neo is all about. It's not just about Apple making a cheap laptop for the first time in years. It's more about having a product that basically either works for you or doesn't work for you. It's not so expensive to run your wallet dry, and it offers just enough performance to get a lot of people through the day. And that, for me, I think is the beauty of the MacBook Neo. So that brings us to the end of this video. And then again, you can let me know your thoughts about this laptop in the comment section below. Is it something that is for you? Is it something that is not for you? You can always just let me know. Let me know your viewpoints. Let me know your thoughts, because it's through these kind of interactions that we can know whether or not I'm just yapping or not. But anyway, thanks for listening, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.